Tomorrow I begin my big adventure, summer 2025. I'm driving from Connecticut to Emporia, Kansas to participate in the Unbound Gravel Extravaganza. For those of you not in the bicycling know, gravel bikes sit roughly halfway between road bikes and mountain bikes, invented probably because many of us who ride the roads have gotten a little frightened of cars hitting us. I've been hit 4 times. And those who ride mountain biking, like me, have broken too many bones. So it's somewhere in the middle there. The Unbound race is known as the hardest race in the world. That is the 200 miler. I had planned on riding the 200 miler. Alas, my cancer and a respiratory infection conspired to keep me off my bike for nearly 2 months. During that time, January and February of this year, I could walk up 1 flight of stairs in my own home and suffer a panic attack because I couldn't breathe. My physician wife twice took me to a critical care unit. But I found a pulmonologist in March, gave me some good juice, and I'm back. I've ridden several 100-mile road rides in recent times. It's been raining a lot here in Connecticut, so I've been off the gravel because I'm not that fond of mud. But I've gotten the miles in, and I'm ready to go. There's my trusty steed, my Salsa Cutthroat. It is my gravel bike and my bike packing bike. Got some big fat tires and ready to rock and roll.
My health status, in particular, my prostate-specific antigen measure, PSA, that is a protein that the prostate produces, and its relationship maybe to my exercise. Now remember, I haven't had a prostate since July 1st, 2020, but in recent times, my PSA has been, at least had been, skyrocketing. Those are low numbers, but folks looking at this should remember that I haven't had a prostate since July 1, 2020, and in 2021 I underwent 8 weeks of daily radiation therapy. So having a PSA score of any kind, especially one increasing, was problematic. But let's look at this. We can match it to my exercise. You can see during January and February when my exercise diminished because I was so sick I could barely walk up a flight of stairs. I got off my bicycle and my PSA increased dramatically. March, I got back on my bicycle. My PSA decreased and is roughly stable at this moment. Visit the literature regarding the relationship between exercise and cancer. Here's a relatively recent article in our favorite journal, Cancers, attesting to this phenomenon, that exercise helps one avoid contracting cancer, and if you do contract cancer, helps with survivorship. A slightly more recent article in Sports Medicine attesting to the same phenomenon. When one has cancer, that starts to grow and spread, although now it's stable. Yeah, enter the world's hardest bicycle race. I had originally planned on riding the 200-mile race. Alas, that dearth of training in January and February put me way behind schedule. I have ridden, as I said in the outset of this fascinating episode, have ridden a trio of 100 milers in the last month, all on the road, but I'm ready to ride 100 miles of gravel. Could I ride 200 miles of gravel? Yeah, but it would be ugly, and ugly is not something I want to do right now. Now here is the original 200-mile route. Here is the 100-mile route. You can see that the 200-mile route had 10,000 feet of climbing. The 100-mile route, only 3,000 feet of climbing. And what has happened, essentially, is that the organizers have us ride up about halfway, or a quarter of the way, really, cut across, come back down, producing a route that looks like that. I dropped down to the 100 this year instead of waiting to next year to ride the 200. Well, I may be able to do both. Most importantly, though, time may not be on my side. This may be my one and only year for this sort of extraordinary exercise. Now, this is the pathology report from my July 1, 2020 prostatectomy, during which my surgeon and his 6-armed robot removed my prostate and a dozen lymph nodes surrounding my prostate. I was the beneficiary of positive margin. Not positive news means the outside surface of what your surgeon removed from your body is cancerous, almost certainly meaning there's still cancer in your body. Now, we'll talk about what kind of cancer that is or how aggressive it is. It seems like a moderate cancer, subject to the next slide. It is, of course, in my prostate, and it is an adenocarcinoma, kind of cancer that lands in your glands and can spread around the body beyond that. Now let's take a look at that score. This is the aggressiveness score system for prostate cancer, the Gleason score, named after the fellow who discovered it. You can see that my score is in the middle there, 4 plus 3, generally speaking, that's a moderate score. So I have a medium grade cancer in my body. Now the two numbers are 3 plus 4. It means that more areas in the prostate were number 3 than number 4, or this is my positive margin. More areas in my positive margin were number 3 rather than number 4. So that's a better score than the other way around, 4 plus 3. Still get the same 7, but the first score is a more common type of tissue in your whatever tissue was tested. And we can remember that former President Biden got a cancer score of 9. That is the most aggressive form. I don't know whether his was 4 plus 5 or 5 plus 4, but in any event, not good news. Nor is mine good news, because I still have cancer in my body. Score of my positive margin indicated a moderately aggressive cancer, but a more sophisticated test of my cancerous bits, a decipher score, addressing the DNA components of my cancerous bits, gave me a very high risk score, 0.9 on a 0 to 1 scale. Here, cancer Schmancer. Going to pedal like my life depends on it. And it may.
And so, where does this leave me? Bound for Unbound, hoping that I'll be good enough. Going to pedal like my life depends upon it, because, as I already said, it may.